Hi, my name is Tegan Lopez-Schrammel, and for my topic, I chose the role of nonverbal communication in the classroom. I apologize for my presentation structure. It wouldn't let me record in Canva and upload, and this was the best that I could do. This is just a brief overview of what my project will discuss. We will discuss the history of nonverbal research, the implementation into classroom and why it's important, flaws in the teacher preparation program, and how they can adjust for the future. Why is this topic important? From my middle school and elementary school experience, I distinctly remember my teacher standing up in front of our loud classroom full of 30 yammering middle school kids and going using this hand motion and all of us falling immediately silenced. Why does this work better than shouting, "Be quiet"? There's research that has been done since the 1960s that shows why implementing these nonverbal cues into the classroom can be more beneficial for children in their development now and in the future. There's unique challenges for learning at this age. Children 3 to 6 are not attuned for verbal cues as they are for nonverbal cues. Their verbal literacy and their ability to process verbal information is not yet established, and this backup of nonverbal cues, supporting them or just encouraging them, can be so much more essential and help them stay so much more tuned and focused and structured in the classroom than simply yelling at them, which they will generally fight back on, not really understand, or just cause chaos in the classroom. There is some historical context. Nonverbal communication has been recognized as essential since the 1960s. This shift from viewing it as an unconscious behavior and supplementary really changed how we look at the classroom setting and how we communicate interpersonally with each other. Albert, and I'm going to butcher his last names, Mehrabian's foundational work took place in 1967 when he coined the 7%, 38%, and 55% rule. Key finding: when verbal and nonverbal messages conflict, people rely on nonverbal cues. This consists of 7% words, 30% tones, and a whopping 55% on body language. While his research did not solely take place in a classroom, we can take this research and we can implement it into the classroom, especially for these impressionable, developing 3 to 6 year olds. Foundational findings. Emotional states are transmitted through nonverbal channels. When you see someone and they're grumpy and they're in a bad mood, or you're at a restaurant and your server's in a bad mood, or when your server's happy, that will really take a toll on how you view that hour you're at the restaurant. Why would it be any different for how their teacher views or how their student views their teacher going to school when it's one of their first times leaving the home, whether or not they're going to be comforted at school or whether they're going to be yelled at school? Teacher enthusiasm or anxiety spreads without words. Open postures and eye contact create a more positive learning environment. Nonverbal behaviors are primary contributors to classroom atmosphere. I remember from the time when I was in elementary school to even college, the teachers who would stand out from their desk, who would interact with us around the classroom, had such a more positive impact with me. And the teachers who would sit behind their desk, cross their arms, be really stoic. And I tend to remember and support and trust the teachers that were really supportive to me. And I wanted to go to school and I wanted to learn, and I was a better student in those classes. Modern investigation techniques, advanced video analysis and eye tracking technology, sophistication emotion recognition software, classroom-based observational studies, experimental designs measuring nonverbal impact on student outcomes. We have better technology than we did in the 1960s and a better understanding of what kids need. This way, we can track directly how teachers' nonverbal behavior correlates directly with students' performance, behavior, and the classroom structure as a whole. Strategic mobility. Teachers who move purposely show better behavior control. Approachable authority stance. Open posture, upright position, proximity as a management tool, creating inclusive learning environments through positioning. All of these are important in creating that positive learning environment for these impressionable young children. The power of genuine emotion. Immediate feedback through facial expressions. Kids will respond if you're smiling or if you're sad. They know how to read those things. And a lot of people don't understand the power that a smile or a frown can actually hold. Authentic versus forced, positive emotions. Timing matters. Immediate nonverbal feedback helps with self-regulation of these children. Multiple functions, feedback, climate regulation, emotional modeling. These things all have their practical applications. Executive function development affects signal interpretation. Theory of mind influences reading teachers' intentions. Attention regulation determines focus on relevant nonverbal cues needed for clearer, more consistent signals with processing time. Hand signals for silence and basic needs. When I was in middle school, we would do water when we wanted to get up and B for bathroom whenever we wanted to go. And that was a time for us to be able to express our needs without disrupting the entire classroom climate. Eye contact and proximity for behavior management, strategic positioning throughout the classroom, visual cues that align with children's developmental strengths. Fewer behavior disruptions, higher student participation levels, more authentic classroom relationships, improved student self-regulation, and students spend more time in happier states. If we know that all of this is so positive and so good, why is it not being implemented in training for teachers? Disconnect between research and practice. Most educators receive no formal training on nonverbal communication, and when it is, it's seen as supplementary or an afterthought, and many teachers do have to learn from trial and error, which can be detrimental to the classroom setting. How can we adjust for a future? Simple but systematic approach needed. Techniques aren't advanced skills that require years of training. These are just things that need to be prioritized as much as curriculum. Strategic positioning, hand signals, genuine facial expressions, but nobody's teaching this systematically. What teacher preparation programs should include? Understanding developmental factors and nonverbal interpretation, deliberate, consistent use of visual cues, timing, authenticity, training, age-appropriate hand signal adjustments for this versus a 3-year-old versus a 6-year-old. They're going to need different things, and we need to learn how to adjust for what kid we're working with so we can better help them. Components for effective training, theoretical foundations of nonverbal communication, developmental considerations for different age groups, strategic mobility and positioning techniques, facial expressions and emotional regulation skills, and hand signals and visual cues, and we need to use them consistently and immediately. Thank you for listening to my presentation. I hope you were able to follow along, and I hope you learned something.